Hey everyone, and welcome. So it's International Women's Day. And instead of just repeating slogans, we're going to do something a little different today. We're going to dive into a story, a really big story about biology, culture, struggle, and the future of human progress itself. And it all starts with the most basic, most profound truth there is about us. Think about it. Every single person who has ever walked this earth, every king, every artist, every scientist, every leader you can possibly name, every one of them started life inside a woman's body. Before there was civilization, before language, before any of the structures we take for granted, this was the universal beginning, the very first home for every single one of us. And that, right there, brings us to the central question we're tackling today. If this is our shared, undeniable origin story, why has the world that grew from it been such a paradox? Why has a world that literally came from women so often struggled to treat them as equals? To really unpack that paradox, we have to start with this foundational idea. Let's talk about what it means that a woman's body is, in essence, the first home of all humanity. And here it is, laid out plain and simple. On one side, you've got this biological reality. It's universal, it's unchanging. But on the other side, you have this social structure that has defined most of recorded history, patriarchy. And that is the core tension we're going to explore. This tension creates what you could call a history of imbalance. So what did that power structure actually look like? And for how long did it really shape our world? Now, it's really important to be clear about what we mean by patriarchy. It's not about pointing fingers, saying every man was oppressing every woman. Not at all. It's about the systems, the structures of power where historically things like political leadership, economic control, who owned property, and even religious authority were almost entirely in the hands of men. And the sheer scale of this, it is just staggering. We're talking about the vast majority of recorded human history here. For roughly 5,000 years, these patriarchal systems were basically the default model for civilizations all around the globe. And these weren't just abstract ideas. They had very real-world consequences. We're talking about tangible social rules and restrictions that shaped women's lives. Things like child marriage, not being allowed to own property or inherit, massive wage gaps, limited or no access to education, forced marriages, and this immense social pressure to produce male children. These were everyday realities. But of course, history is never just one story. It's also a story of resistance and incredible change. And that brings us to the pioneers of progress, the people who looked at the limits placed on them and said, nope, not good enough, and in doing so, opened up new possibilities for everyone else. International Women's Day itself was born out of this spirit. It didn't just appear out of nowhere. It actually grew from the labor and socialist movements of the early 1900s. An activist named Clara Zetkin proposed the whole idea in 1910. It took a while, but by 1975, the United Nations officially recognized March 8th, cementing its place as a global day of advocacy. Figures like Savitribai Phule, wow, she completely embodied this fight, a true trailblazer for girls' education in India. Her words here just capture the revolutionary power of knowledge. Education wasn't just about learning, it was a tool to smash restrictive traditions and achieve liberation. And that fight for a seat at the table absolutely continues into the modern era. Justice Ruth Bader Ginsburg's famous line isn't just a powerful statement. It's a clear, simple assertion of what's right. It's not enough to just be present in the room. Women must be part of the actual decision-making. So, the work of these pioneers, it led to incredible structural changes. And this is what it looks like when that progress gets written down into law. Using India's constitution as an example, you can see legal guarantees for equality before the law, a ban on discrimination based on gender, and equal opportunity in employment. This is the bedrock. This is the legal foundation you can stand on to challenge injustice. Okay, so with all that history and that legal foundation in mind, what's next? This brings us to our final section. Building our shared future. Because progress isn't just something that happened in the past. It's something we have to actively create right now. And the path forward is actually pretty clear. First up, education. It's still the most powerful tool for empowerment, bar none. Second, economic independence, because that gives women the power of choice. Third, solidarity, the incredibly important act of women supporting other women. And finally, continuing to push for full participation in leadership roles. But this also means we have to be honest with ourselves, because real progress requires self-awareness. This is about overcoming the internalized doubts that history has conditioned in so many. It's about fostering mutual support over competition, questioning traditions that might be holding us back, and finding the courage to speak out against injustice, even when it's hard. So, here's the crucial point. After looking at the history, the struggle, and the path forward, we arrive at a much bigger conclusion. The fight for gender equality is not a niche topic. It's not just a women's issue. And it is definitely not a battle between men and women. It's a fundamental awakening for all of humanity. Because ultimately, this is the simple truth that connects everything we've talked about today. When societies invest in women, in their education, their health, their freedom, their leadership, they are really just investing in their own progress. This isn't just women's progress, it's human progress. When women rise, all of humanity rises with them. Happy International Women's Day.